Cassidy's he's a cop. He was a good cop, and feels that he's been set up, and he's stuck in prison now for 25 years for a crime he believes he didn't commit. And the movie's basically about him trying to prove his innocence in the most extreme of circumstances. I think any cop who's in jail, you put half those people in there. So it's not a nice life. Plus, I think even if he wasn't a cop, I don't think going to jail is living in a cell for the rest of your life is heaven. So he obviously has formulated a plan in 2 years to break out with the help of his brother. Maybe no one really knows. That becomes clear as the movie goes on, and basically just take his life to the extreme. He doesn't want to go on the run because he might get shot, but he wants to prove his innocence. His dad dies, and so he gets a leave of absence from the prison. And within that, I think he seizes the opportunity to escape, and we have a big crazy car chase through a cemetery, which I think is a bold move because the streets are small. The pathways are small, and it's an interesting kind of action scene. I think the plan is that he kind of went there and, any person that stands on a ledge 200 feet in the air, you're obviously going to believe that they're going to commit suicide. And I think by doing that, it attracts so much attention that out of that he can give attention to the real reason why he's there and the real cause. I think the character of Lydia, she's the main driving force of the movie as far as I'm concerned. I think she's the main focus. She's like the audience. She's thrust into this world where everyone else knows the situation or has been involved in Nick being put in jail, and she's the innocent. And through her eyes, not only can he regain have an honest ear and have someone who fights for him, but I think also that what she lends to it is she allows the audience into this dilemma on a heightened state. And plus, she's like John McClane. That's how I kind of looked at her. She's the John McClane of the piece, and she's thrust into this crazy world, which is very Boise, and she holds her own. She's been involved in a situation where the world and other cops have turned their back on her, so there's an affinity there. But I think it's more a case of she's if you're going to trust, if you can't trust even your closest friends, you aim for a stranger, and therefore the main kind of emotional thrust of the story is him trying to convince her that no matter what anyone else says or what a jury says, there is an innocence there, and if she can believe his eyes, then that's half the job done. Kind of. When you first hear the movie, you think it's just a gimmick. But essentially what we're trying to do is you see the expanding circles that one man's fight for freedom, how it ripples. He might just be stuck on the ledge, but that in itself kind of ripples out to everyone else's life, and whether their objective is to help Nick or stop Nick. Just one man in a solitary position kind of really has an effect. You go out on the ledge and it's 200 feet up, so for the first couple of days out there, your experiences are real and they don't go away. The fear doesn't go away, and I don't really like heights myself, so you just kind of tap into it and it helps the scenes roll. But when you're in 8 foot tall, you kind of have to you have like a sense memory of that, I suppose. And then also being on the real ledge, you can get comfortable and quite complacent, and because no matter how high it is, you are nervous, but your body tends to relax, and to generate kind of the feeling that you want an audience to experience. If you're out there for 8 hours, you're obviously going to get comfortable, but to kind of like keep the audiences, give them what they expect, which is this immediate fear that this man can fall off any time. I saw his doco, and I loved it. I think it was one of the best docos I've ever seen. And you know, it's very hard to go from that kind of anarchy to a structured anarchy, which is making a film. You know, making you know, like a fictitious film. But you know, he handles all the elements. This is a big film, you know, to have as your first film, and you know, he handles them with energy. He gets excited by what he's making, and you know, you kind of have to calm him down sometime and go, otherwise we never get any work done. But I like that. At least it's not a negative energy. It's someone that is enjoying the process, is enjoying learning, and you know, I've always said you're only as good as your other castmates and your director, and I feel safe around them. So, you know, hopefully it reflects in what I'm doing.
I play Detective Lydia Mercer. I'm part of the NYPD's hostage negotiation team. My job essentially is to go into situations where there would be one of three types of people: a terrorist, which this is not, a criminal, somebody who like robs a bank and holds himself up with a bunch of money, or a situation like this, a jumper or someone who has a gun and is holding it on other people, a hostage situation, anything like that. Suicides that disrupt the city. That's my job. So we have a jumper on a ledge. It's my job to get him down. I feel like the story is all in the title, Man on a Ledge. It's about a guy on a ledge. We think he's a jumper. It turns out there's a lot of twists and turns in the story. We're not really sure why he's out there. He doesn't seem to jump. The NYPD likes to say jumpers jump. In other words, if they really want to go over, they get up there and they go. By the time we get there, they've already committed suicide. So this guy is not a typical jumper. He's probably somebody who's not serious about going over. And now it's a question of, does he want attention? What's going on? And we come to find out that he's on the ledge to cover up a massive heist that he's running across the street. She was part of a jumper scenario gone wrong involving one of the Forces Zone on the Brooklyn Bridge. So we had an officer go up on the bridge to attempt suicide. I was in charge of talking him down. And at the very end of our conversation, where I thought I had him and that he was going to come in, he went over anyway, and he died. And so she's taken herself out of rotation, as they say. So she's not in a good place at the beginning of the movie. She's not somebody who wants to be up here trying to save lives. She really can't even get herself together. The great thing about this film is that it's a double redemption story. So, you know, our lead guy, played by Sam Worthington, Nick Cassidy, really needs to redeem himself in this movie. And the great thing is he gives me an opportunity to redeem myself as well. Lydia's approach to Nick really is just to suss him out at first, because, you know, it's like they say, jumpers jump, so this guy hasn't gone over yet, which means that there's time for negotiation. There's time to save him. If he was really serious about jumping, he would have already done it. So there's clearly something else going on here, and it's just a matter of diagnosing the patient. You know, that's sort of how they put it. It's like, what's this guy's diagnosis? And then we can figure out the prescription. And frankly, she knows once SWAT is on, once the tactical unit arrives, like, they're gonna pull him in off this ledge. So as long as she keeps him from jumping, he will safely be pulled in. But what we come to find out is there's a much sort of bigger story going on here. There's a lot more to him being out there than she realizes at first. Over the course of the movie, Lydia finds out that Nick is not only an ex-cop, but an ex-convict, and that he is not only an ex-convict, he's an escaped convict. So, you know, at this point, we could shoot him on sight. I mean, he was part of a prison breakout on the same morning. And, you know, that's not somebody that you want to put a lot of trust in necessarily. So he really then has to win her over in a big way, and he has to lay all that groundwork before she finds out that he's an escaped convict. For me, the pluses of doing this movie were working with Sam Worthington and Ed Burns and Ed Harris and Anthony Mackie and Jamie Bell. You know, just a great cast. And playing a character who like runs around with a 9mm Glock and gets to, you know, fire at people and just be a badass. I was really looking forward to sort of being an NYPD officer. I was really excited to get on the ledge. I'm not afraid of heights. I'm sort of a fearless person in that way. I was really excited to get out there, and I mean, you can't process that too much. I mean, you really can't. When I see the photos of it and I see that we're literally being held up by like a little piece of string, you know, you can't think about it too much, or you wouldn't be able to get out there. But the adrenaline rush totally fed me. I thought it was really fun. Well, Sam is a total champ because he got out there. He's afraid of heights, first of all. I think he would tell you that. And he got out on that ledge day one, and I think was really nervous. But by day three, was like an old pro at it, and sort of was very comfortable to sort of hang out there. I mean, he did things that, you know, I'm not afraid of heights, and I was really into getting out there. But doing a lot of movement out there was very scary. I mean, it really got your heart pumping. And I got a lot of vertigo, and he seemed very comfortable with it after a while. So it was really, you know, I think we're very lucky that we had somebody who didn't have like a panic attack out there.
The name of my character is Joey Cassidy, and he is the brother of Nick Cassidy. What can I tell you about Joey? He's a guy who has kind of dedicated his life to helping his brother. That is the first and foremost thing in his mind, and the motivation of his relationship with this girl he has, and his family life. Anything that is, you know, his academic life or whatever it is, has been completely consumed by his brother and what he needs to do for his brother. You know, he's kind of referred to a little bit as a bit of a screw up and kind of someone who isn't necessarily kind of all together, and you know, he's a guy who's a little bit with loose ends, let's say. His girlfriend, his relationship is with this girl called Angie, and they have a very kind of frenetic kind of relationship, which I believe is grounded in love and admiration for one another. But they go on this heist to prove Nick's innocence, basically, and some of their flurries of relationship trauma kind of comes out at the wrong times and in the wrong moments. So it's a great character to play. It's a lot of fun. For me and Genesis, who plays Angie, the girlfriend, you know, it's really the suspense and the fun and the kind of action of the film once Nick is out there on the ledge, you know. So in terms of filming everything, it's been a lot of fun doing most of the physical stuff for the film, and providing that relief from the very intense kind of story stuff that's happening on the ledge. Who is he? Has he lost his mind? Has he lost the will to live? He's lost touch with the reality. His relatives don't even recognize him anymore. You know, they're getting into fights at their father's funeral. I mean, the device of that setup, I really believe, is to try and make you second guess Nick's motivations and what he's actually doing. I genuinely believe that, you know, by page 20, when he's out there on the ledge and everything's established and set up, you still want to be asking the question, is he gonna jump? Is he a bad guy? What's he doing there? And I think in terms of playing those scenes, it's incredibly difficult, of course, because you know what the device is for, and you know that all of this might be a setup. So in terms of the playing of it, it was kind of complicated. I think every scene needs to feel that way. You really feel like you need to be on the edge. It needs to be like, if we don't do this now, we're gonna go down. We're gonna be in prison. You know, I think Asger, our director, you know, keeps on reminding us of those stakes. You know, the whole time we're busting into this place. I'm sure he did the same for Sam. You know, who is literally 6 inches away from death. You know, and I feel like it's also the delivery of information is important as well for things like this. I think too often in thrillers and suspense thrillers, when information is given to you, the right reaction is, wow, I had no idea, or that totally threw me for a loop, or they got me, you know. And too often it isn't that reaction. So I think in terms of the screenplay, and at least the way I'm trying to do everything, is making sure that that information is delivered in the precise way so that it does offer you that reaction. The comms, these things, comms, I essentially know the character in the film. They're the vital link between what's going down and the next step. So I'm constantly a step ahead, Nick is kind of always a step behind what's happening, so I'm constantly having to relay information. But I remember in the rehearsal period, we were always trying to manifest scenes and dialogue that would be very clear for one context and also very clear for another context. Nick's conversations with Lydia and its cryptic messages to me, you know. So that stuff has been a lot of fun, and you can add so much tension through these things not working, interference from something else, you know, suddenly it's really loud all of a sudden, and we've been playing with all that kind of stuff, which I think really enables everything. It's definitely a small space. I mean, even when you think about a ledge, it's like, okay, it's not going to be too bad. It's not going to be that bad. But I mean, he's literally out there. He's on the edge. You know, I mean, it's one false move and that's it. You know. So I mean, I think I would have loved to have done it. You know, I mean, it is incredibly informative. It does throw things at you that you never expected. You know, I think they had pretty good weather while they were shooting as well, which they were very fortunate for. He's a very classic bad guy. You know, he represents evil in all kind of different various forms of wealth and capitalism and thievery and guilt and all these things that are great themes, and Ed Harris plays him brilliantly because he's right on the edge of you kind of like him, which is always great. He has a great first scene, one of the best scenes in the film, I think, and he's played him straight down the line, totally believable, you know. So I enjoyed my scene with him as well. That was a lot of fun. So Englander is just, he's the root of this problem, and Joy thrives on the idea that when he completes this, then there will be a possibility that they will meet, and he will sort some stuff out. I think Asger approaching this film, you know, which I thought was a great decision for him to direct the film, having seen his documentary, which was fantastic. I think the backbone of the tale for him is family. You know, for at least Joey, that's the driving force of the whole mission. So yeah, absolutely. I mean, the documentary does make you go, that's not real. So I think Asger is consciously aware of the fact that breaking into this guy's place, stealing one of the biggest diamonds in the world, is a little bit kind of like, it's a large concept, high concept story. But if you can portray it and root it to something that is real, family, love, honor, all of those things that my character's going through while trying to do this, it does make it real.
Mike Ackerman is a guy just trying to make ends meet, you know. He's a cop. He's Nick Cassidy's former partner. So he's trying to help him in everything that he's going through now with being the man on the ledge and not go to jail. Mike's big thing is, you know, he and Nick used to work together doing moonlight shifts, and that's basically where cops get hired as cops when they're off duty to do security work and things like that. So they got a shift and things went wrong, and they're not really sure who did what or how it came about. So he's trying to figure out the ins and outs of it to help out Nick while he's the man on the ledge. His biggest thing is just trying to help out Nick in whatever way he can, get him off the ledge. Once he goes to the precinct and hears about the jumper, and then he sees this Nick, everything, you know, goes at 100% pace from that point on, because he has to make sure that not only he's clear, but that his friend is okay, because he and Nick were best friends. I mean, they were partners, you know, and they both had the goal or the dream of making detective. So once you know, everything fell apart, you know, he had to kind of make sure that he was okay. So Nick kind of took the fall. I was really impressed with Asger. I saw his documentary, and I was kind of blown away by it. I was really surprised by it, just his ability to tell a story without judgment. And we met about the character, and I felt there was something very dark and mysterious about Mike. I felt there was something that was very cerebral, but at the same time not aggressive or dangerous. You know, it's not like he's running around shooting people to stay out of jail. You know, he's just trying to help himself, but also help his friend. And that's something you don't traditionally see when it comes to cops. Usually cops just run, it's like, oh, I'm not going to jail. You know, and I think the control that he shows is something that I wanted to bring out. Sam's a really smart actor, and it's been fun. You can tell he goes home and does his homework about the script, not only his character, but about all the characters and how they fold into the story of that's the movie. And a lot of actors don't do that. You rarely see that, especially with somebody of his age, or our age, I should say. So it's fun. I mean, we're able to have intelligent conversations and joke around and make the characters work together. So it's been cool. I mean, he's pretty easygoing. It's funny, man. He's you know, he's really easy to work with, and we, you know, we have this combat stuff and all the stuff that we have to do, and he's just up for anything. And a lot of actors will be like, oh, well, don't do this, and I don't want to do that, and hey, look at this, and he's not like that at all. And it's been fun. It's been fun. We joke around and we have a good time on the set, but when it comes to work, and everybody zeroes in and makes it work, so that's cool. You don't find that a lot.
Sam plays a cop who is wrongly convicted of a homicide connected to a stolen diamond. And basically, he breaks out of jail with the help of his brother. And what they're trying to do is Sam checks into this hotel, goes out on the ledge to distract from the burglary that his brother is going to be doing across the street to steal the diamond. The thing being, you know, he can't be convicted for the same crime twice, and this will prove his innocence. And yeah, I mean, it's a really fun, tight thriller with a lot of different types of cool action elements. So it's it's a pretty great script. Lydia, who Elizabeth Banks plays, is a hostage negotiator that my character has worked with in the past. But Lydia, a month ago, had a jumper that she was trying to talk down, and he jumped. So Sam's character knows this and recognizes if he brings her into the scene to negotiate, it just is going to be a bigger event given her history. So the bigger the event, the bigger the distraction. First of all, great cast, great script. A lot of fun people, a really big ensemble of terrific actors like Ed Harris and Kira Sedgwick, and all the other folks. So that was exciting. And, I'm a New York City guy. My dad was a New York City cop. I've never played a cop, which is, played a fireman. So I just kind of I wanted to do it. When we were shooting out on the ledge, the first day that I got up there, the stunt guys asked me if I wanted to walk out and sort of experience it. So, of course, I wanted to check it out. So they throw the harness on you and they strap you in and they send you around the edge with one of the guys. And I have to admit, it was so terrifying. I don't know how Sam did as many hours out there as he did. I mean, I know after a certain point, you probably get a little bit more comfortable, but I don't think you could ever be totally comfortable given that you're 26 stories up in the air. Granted, you are strapped in, but leaning over, it is still terrifying. On a big film like this, even if you are a first-time director and there's some things maybe that you don't know how to do, you're surrounded by such an A-list team. Paul, our director of photography, is incredible. The stunt coordinators are incredible. Production designers, Lorenzo and the other producers. I mean, he's got such a great support team around him that when he does come to the place where he's not quite sure what to do, he's got an army of people around him to sort of help him through it. It's more than just a thriller. It's a character piece at the center of it, and a guy that you are sympathetic to, and you want to see him win. And I think this has a lot of those same elements. The wrongly accused guy who's out to prove his innocence, but along the way, we're going to scare the hell out of you.
Basically, Angie's just really ready to pull this off. She's very excited about it. She's nervous, obviously, but I think it takes a lot of guts to do this kind of thing when you're not completely involved. She's helping out her boyfriend's brother. So, I mean, she's not entirely involved in the situation, but she likes to be in it. She likes to be a part of it. I think she is very quick. She's street smart, and she's absolute fun to play. She just doesn't stop. She's always full of energy. She keeps, I think, the movie along with Joey just running, and it's very exciting to play her. I love that. I love the fact that he's on a ledge, and that he's literally on the ledge is terrifying. And I think the robbery just adds to that tension, and it kind of breaks you away from what is going on and what the people are seeing. You could just imagine the whole amount of people just watching that guy on the ledge, having no idea what these two kids in a building right across the street are doing. It's interesting. The scenes have to be, so fast-paced, and it's slightly difficult when you have to wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning to come in with that energy. So what I do is I try to listen to music to pump myself up. I listen to a little bit of salsa, I listen to a little bit of hip-hop and reggaeton, and I'm like in my groove, and I'm like, okay, I can pull up heist now. Like, it's ready. I could do it. I was so surprised to see what they built. I mean, literally, it was just like they made our whole world. We had no idea what it was going to look like, and I had no idea how the vents were going to look like, or any of the structure of the building. So the first day that we got here, we try not to look at it too much, because we, technically Joey and Angie, have no idea what this building looks like from the inside. So it was kind of new to us, and it was new to the characters as well. So whatever happened, clumsily so, it was natural, absolutely natural. And, it just looks so incredible. The security, I mean, it just looks amazing. It was difficult to play out those things, like the heat sensor. And, I mean, my gosh, what didn't I do in this movie? Like, I'm trying to think. All I need is, maybe a machine gun scene. I've done it all. Joey is the one that needs to let Nick know everything at the exact time, because he's the one, Nick is letting us know, you know, if there's anyone coming about, or if we're clear, if we have enough time, if things are running on schedule. Like, everything has a time frame. Everything has to be done in a certain amount of time. And that's, like, the communication is the most important part, because if Nick doesn't know what Joey and Angie are doing, I mean, he doesn't know how to help us or distract the people. And that's the whole, I mean, really the reason why he's on a ledge, because he needs to take the focus away from that building that needs to get, you know, completely raided by 2 kids.
My character's name is Susie Morales, and she's a reporter down on the scene with the crowd, watching everything that's going on and reporting on it. And she's, you know, kind of a go-get-'em reporter, and she's funny, and she's got a great relationship with her cameraman, Frank, and she's from New York, born and raised, just like me. Just a great story for her, you know, and she's in the right place at the right time, because, you know, she got her breaking news, you know, day, and this is what's breaking, and it's great. I mean, this is the kind of story that can really make a reporter's career. I mean, I think that she's, you know, she's not on network. I mean, I think she's on, you know, sort of off, slightly off network, you know, cable local station, but this could be really big for her, and I think that she's out to, you know, to milk it for everything she can. A real page turner, and, you know, you don't know what's going on, and I love that you meet this guy and you don't have no idea what he's up to, and then, you know, he's on a ledge, but he's not really on a ledge. He's got stuff going on. He's, you know, he's holding the puppet strings, you know, and making all these things happen, and, you know, he unfolds slowly about who he is and what he's up to, and, you know, he's been wronged, and so he's a hero, and, you know, so it's awesome. And I think, you know, the idea of the crowd, you know, turning on him and then winning, and then he wins them over, you know, because they get what his story is, that he's really trying to clear his name. I had this idea that it would actually be a lot wider and that they would build something. You know, I mean, I know that they will eventually, but really, he's up there and it's not wide at all. I went up there too today, and it's terrifying. And I think that will lend itself, you know, to a lot of reality and a lot of adrenaline, and a lot of good things will happen from being up there. Even though I'm sure it's kind of nauseating for him, poor guy. I mean, I couldn't walk out to the edge like that. I just was sort of standing at the windowsill looking down. You got people from all walks of life down there, and I think that, you know, if it's done well, we will get the flavor of the city. I think that's important. I really do. I think that people are always going to be irritated when you're holding them up in the beginning. So, you know, that's a real New York thing. Like, what? What are you doing? What the hell? You know, and then I just love the idea that, you know, it changes and shifts. I would only say that, you know, she doesn't think that she's suitable for this job right now. I mean, I think that Susie doesn't think. I mean, you know, she's, you know, 2 people have dropped on her watch. So I think that she's, you know, questioning her suitability. But she doesn't really say that. But I think that, you know, it's part of her story. So it's part of the story. It's part of Lydia's story. So it's part of the story is that, you know, she's failed twice.
The name of my character is David Englander. He's a businessman, wealthy, started out in the jewelry trade, he's now into real estate. He's got a major project he's about to embark on, huge skyscraper. My dad was an immigrant who made his money in the diamond trade. he's passed away, but since I have become a wealthy man, when I was able to, I bought this diamond called a Monarch diamond, which was worth like 40 million bucks. A few years ago, it was stolen from me by a cop that Sam plays. And I got the insurance money for it, which helped my business stay alive, which was about to tank at the time. And since that time, I have multiplied that money quite a bit. And I'm ready to embark on a great new adventure. A huge building I'm building. When this fella ends up on the ledge of the building, it's like, what the heck is he doing there? I mean, it's, first of all, it's really bad timing because we're supposed to have a major press conference about this beautiful, big, huge office building I'm about to start construction on. But also, yeah, I mean, there's a certain history between us that I would like rather not like anyone to know about. And I mean, he's responsible for stealing this diamond from me. He's obviously broken out of jail. He's on the ledge of my building. What the heck's he doing there? So yeah, it's quite a cause for consternation. It seemed like a fun film. You know, it's like a kind of a caper film. You know, it's obviously supposed to be entertaining. Seemed like there would be room to have some fun. Work in New York for a little while. You know, I like Sam a lot. I think Kyra Sedgwick and Jamie Bell, you know, are all actors that I've seen work who I appreciate, and Asker seemed like a good man, so Summit had a pretty good track record, and so it was like, yeah, let's go to work. Well, I think this film falls into the realm of entertainment. I don't think it's about anything earth-shattering. It's not trying to teach some big, huge moral lesson. It's about an exciting story that hopefully keep people on the edge of their seat. I mean, the guy's on the edge of a building, so hopefully people stay on the edge of their seat.
This is about a cop who was thrown to jail for something he claims he didn't do. And he, in the beginning of the movie, he escapes prison and checks into a hotel in New York and steps up on a ledge to sort of, he's threatening to jump, but what he's really orchestrating is a heist, but the object of the heist is stealing the proof of his innocence. And he's doing that with the help of a few friends, family. Well, I like in general as a genre, but also as a theme, to play with the balance between what's real and what's not real. I think that's an appealing factor to any filmmaker, because the whole medium is about creating something that feels real out of something that's not. So it's fascinating to take that theme directly into a movie, into the language of the movie, into the life that the characters are creating. So here's a guy, Nick Cassidy, who's creating a reality. He's creating it, but it's fiction. It's something he's invented. He's invented the idea that he's some guy standing out on a ledge threatening to jump. That's a reality he's orchestrating for everybody to believe. He literally forces moments of extreme noise down in the crowd, like oohs and ahs, like he's threatening to jump, and he's counting down, and 3, 2, 1. And just as he's almost jumping, people scream and shout. But on the other side of the street, a few blocks down, there's an explosion, and his brother and his brother's girlfriend are breaking through a roof into the building where they're going to steal this diamond. So, you know, it's directly related, and it's got a ticking clock, sort of, in that sense, you know? Knowing Sam and knowing that he's got this, like, unique physical, it's almost like a neurological memory of his past movements and emotions, that if he experienced it and then we move it inside, that we had half a chance of keeping that alive. And I must say, I had sleepless nights over it, not knowing how much it would actually translate to the stage set. But once we got there, this extreme neurological memory, you know, muscle memory, mind memory. Is like it was flabbergasting to me how it actually translated straight back into the stage, like we were still out there on the 21st floor, 21 stories up. I couldn't believe it actually. The reality is, I think today, that people know cinematic language so much, and they know just by instinct, the physicality of you know, if you see a hotel, if you see a room and a ledge, and all of a sudden there's a camera behind the actors, you know, they know instinctively that that's fake, that there's no wall behind them. They know where the wall is. Do you know what I mean? You can cheat some stuff, but you can't base so much of a movie on that. And so it was a real danger, and well, thank God when they showed up that they, you know, they just did it and amazed us all by doing it. How can we tell this story of a man on a ledge and be able to show it with such a vibrancy in the camera work that it actually doesn't just fall flat against that wall? You know, that was a huge challenge. So that's why, you know, we were out scouting all kinds of houses and buildings with ledges, but none of them gave us any opportunities to have cranes and move around the cameras and so on and so on. That's why we decided ultimately to build this room on top of a hotel. So it's a very dramatic movie. It's got a lot of, I mean, it's got a lot of classic themes. You know, a guy on the run, an ordinary guy who's been innocently framed. You know, it's like classic themes that I love. That is ramped up in a modern language, and then to simply, you know, having a guy like Nick Cassidy step out on a ledge and make it feel real and shoot it in a way that's never seen before. I think it's a crazy ordeal. And the scope of that, you know, the scope of how it's shot is sort of, I think, mind-blowing, but at the same time without feeling constructed.
It really had a romantic quality to it, a redemption story, and it had this like romantic notion of a guy who's putting it all on the line in one day to get his life back. And so it just sort of hit all the buttons for me and for the group. I've always said from the beginning that it's what's so great about it is it's a prison escape that turns into a heist movie that sort of results in a love story, and that I hadn't seen in a long time. For me, it's a, you know, there's a line in the movie, at least we've shot the line in the movie, where Sam's character says, "This is my retrial," and that's always been the way I saw the movie, as a guy who is literally holding a public trial for everyone to see, for the bad guys to see, for the world to see, and he's going to come out clean or not come out at all. And that's what's so exciting about it for me. Sam was actually really game from the get-go. And I believe we even talked about one of the reasons he decided to do the movie is because he was afraid of heights. I don't know if he ever thought he was going to be on a real ledge at that point, but he got a thrill out of it. And the way we shot it, starting on the real ledge and then moving to the stage, really helped him because he got to feel all of it. You know, feel his breath, feel his anxiety. And so when we got to the stage, he, you know, could bring it there. But no, there wasn't anything Sam was afraid of on this movie, and getting on the ledge was sort of his plan from all along. I think audiences will enjoy the twists and turns, and really seeing someone put it all on the line, take control of their lives. You know, I think a lot of people go to the movies to obviously get an escape, but also love to see characters who take control of their lives. And this is someone who's in the span of half a day, along with his family, doing something completely extraordinary, and the odds of winning in the end are really low. And that keeps you on the edge of your seat, I hope.
It's about a cop who's in prison for something he claims he's been framed. Everybody else says he's guilty, and he is suicidal because he's in there. He's going to be in there for 20 years. They don't treat cops well in prison, and his father dies and he goes to his funeral and manages to escape, and then he goes out and steps on a ledge. At first, it appears to be quite a contentious and kind of a bitter relationship, actually. Each accuses the other of damaging their family and being responsible for their father's lack of medical treatment, et cetera, and their father's disappointment. As the movie goes on, we come to see that they are true brothers and ultimately would do anything for each other. Nick escapes and manages to steal a car, and he is cops are chasing him, and there's only one way to try to get him, is just get out, and there's a train coming, and get past that train. And what's fun about the sequence is normally, it's a near miss, but he just makes it. And in this one, he fully gets clocked by the train. And so it's kind of a spectacular end to that chase, which makes the cop think they're going to catch him. And when the train finally passes and they come to the car, they've discovered that Nick has escaped. Nick has an agenda, which is to prove that he was framed. And what we don't know is, as an audience member, you're not immediately tuned into what's going on. And what he does is that he's creating a distraction, and his brother, who is willing to do anything for him, is going to break into a building that's very near the hotel and manage to find the evidence that will prove his which will exonerate him. And unfortunately, that does not go as planned. So it's a movie where the things keep turning on themselves. Lydia has a past history of, there's not a lot of success there. And Nick knows that she's had a bad experience where a jumper jumped, and that it has hurt her emotionally, and also she's somewhat a controversial figure within the police department because the jumper was a cop. And everybody looks at her like sort of she's failed the blue wall. And Nick picks her because he feels that she'll understand the thing that happened to him, which is he was ostracized for something he didn't do, and he sees her as that person. So he's purposely picking somebody that he thinks he can build a relationship with, who can ultimately help him on that day. Ed is playing a really fun character who's very New York, very tough, very skeptical of her. Doherty hasn't lost the jumper recently, and it's that differentiation is really why Nick picked Lydia. Doherty's a different situation where he's a professional and he's grinding his teeth a bit that this broad has come in what should have been his job. And he's reduced to assisting her, but he's a professional. He goes about his job grumbling in a funny way. Well, it's high, and you can't help but feel that height, and the ledge is about that wide, so you're looking down 220 plus feet straight down, and your knees get a little weak, and your adrenaline goes like crazy. So it's interesting because you're hooked in, you're doing everything you can do to be safe, but your rational mind is saying, okay, I'm safe, your primitive mind is going, I'm on a ledge, get the hell off. And so that part of your mind is just shooting adrenaline through. Even though you're not moving, you're just adrenalized. It's kind of an interesting feeling. Thing I never saw before in Sam, which is he's got a sense of humor. He's got it seems when you look at his body of work, he's asked to be the strong guy, the silent guy, the man with internally holding in his emotions. This character is a guy whose emotions are on his sleeve to a certain extent. He is admitted to be suicidal. He is, and he is. He's got a sort of a gallows humor about it. So he's a very endearing character. And what's great is because Sam is so strong, having that kind of vulnerability doesn't strike you as weak, it strikes you as being vulnerability. So I think in many ways that was really great for us. Sometimes after the fact you realize how smart you were when you pick somebody, and that's one of the ones where you went, okay, that was actually an added benefit that his baggage as an actor plays into our strengths. She's such a good actress, and she's very credible as a professional. Often you see, TV shows or movies where, you have somebody who just does not look like they belong. And Elizabeth is first and foremost a really, really good actress. But she's also able to convey that I'm part of this world, which is a very male-dominated world, and we play that to the fullest.
This was a movie about a guy who was in a stressed situation, but who took control and, who felt out of control and took control back to set things right. And I think that was, for me, just something that would tap into the sentiment that's out there right now. People feel out of control and they want It's hard to fool an audience these days, so we have to very carefully, track what's happening in these stories and, figure out where we can make a hard left turn or a hard right turn that doesn't just seem arbitrary, because you're walking that line between, tricking an audience and yet not manipulating an audience. They hate it if there wasn't a chance in the movie for them to predict that twist or that turn, right? So we always go back and say, okay, the beats are there. If you were really watching carefully, you could have figured this out. So it was fair, for an audience. You know very little about her. We actually purposefully did a short introduction for Lydia. She gets a phone call. She's disheveled. She's in bed. She's still asleep later than she probably should be, and she's not happy that she has to go and do her job, which is to talk jumpers off of ledges. We want you to learn very slowly more and more about that character. And from Nick's point of view, there's actually an ominous moment where she says, why am I here? Why did you ask for me? Because he asked for her by name, which is weird, obviously. And he says, I asked for you because, and this is partially true, because you're the one that was with that guy who jumped, and you're famous. And he's like, I just wanted to make sure I got a big audience here today when I go off. Englander is a guy who inherited his money to a certain extent and then made more money. And, so he started his father in the diamond business, and then he went into real estate, and he owns this building and all that stuff. In our minds, he is a white-collar guy. He wears a $3,000 suit, but at the same time, he knows the streets, because that's probably where he came from, where his father came from before him. And so he's a guy who understands Nick at the same time. So when the things he's saying to Nick indicate, I know how you think, and I know how you are, and yet Englander sees that, you know, is trying to shed all of the trappings of a blue-collar upbringing. You know, he does wear the suit, but he still looks a little rough, you know, and that kind of thing. So, you know, he is, as he says, he's a guy who will do what it takes to keep what he has. We raced around the city. I mean, the biggest challenge for us was deciding the height of the ledge, because we went on top of 50-story buildings, we went on top of 30-story buildings, 10-story buildings, and at an extreme height at 50 stories, we found, you know, you lose perspective because there's no connection between being on the ledge and being on the ground. You couldn't even yell to somebody that far down. They wouldn't see you or hear you clearly. And also, you didn't have that sense of vertigo, you know, that you have at a shorter distance, you know, where your mind isn't even trying to conceive of what it would be like to fall, how long would it take. And but we found as you went lower, lower, lower at about 20 stories, all of a sudden, when you looked over the edge, your mind immediately understood what it was, you know, and immediately understood the danger of it, and immediately you can see yourself and know that it wouldn't take that long to be down there, and that you could talk to somebody on the street if you wanted to, you know. You know, the first version of this was definitely green screen. We would shoot on a stage like this. We'd go and shoot plates on a real ledge, and we'd shoot the, you know, most of the movie here and maybe grab a couple pieces up there. And, you know, the concern was that that just wasn't going to capture the reality of it. I mean, the moving cars below, moving people below, and that sort of incalculable feeling that you're actually there. And while I don't think an audience will know the difference between the scenes we shot on stage and just because we'll have ways to, you know, connect them, for us watching it, we'll definitely know what those scenes are. Elizabeth was an interesting choice for us too. I liked the fact that she has sort of a waspy, you know, almost thoroughbred, blue bloody quality, and Sam is more blue collar, you know. As a psychiatrist, which her character is, that felt kind of appropriate and interesting. Somebody who would have studied that, and you know, at the same time, we thought her comedic ability, which is what she's known for, would be something that would bring, you know, levity to that conversation. Again, we were carefully gauging the interest level of two people talking on a ledge. So we're like, how do we get to a fun, you know, banter and back and forth between these characters? How do we get you know, an interesting sarcasm between them? And she brought that to the table. He has this, you know, incredible, serious quality about him that makes you believe he can actually pull this off. As I said before, the heist part of it, as far as the heist goes, you had to believe that these two kids can actually do this. I mean, the vault system and all of that is very elaborate, and so you had to believe in their capabilities and conviction, and you know, that's something he brought just credibility to that in spades, and that was, you know, as important as anything. But also just raw charm and charisma and a great chemistry.